Everyone, now we are going to continue our chapter and we were discussing the physical feature of India, which is the second chapter of class nine's book. And in this video, we are going to discuss about the rest of the part of peninsular plateau. We haven't discussed Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat, and we will discuss in this about Aravali and island groups and desert and coastal area. In this video, we are going to cover all these topics. Now, first topic over here for today is Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat. We will try to understand that what are the major differences between these and how these going to work. Actually, when we saw map of India, okay, so on the map of India, we can clearly see that there is, and if this is the southern part of India, then we can see that here are some of the peninsular plateau region, and these are the uplifted region or elevated region that lies over the co- along with the eastern and western coastal areas. Okay, so first point here is mark the western edges of the Deccan Plateau. If we talk about the Western Ghat, it marks or it runs along the western edges of the Deccan Plateau. Okay, and we talk about Eastern Ghat, it marks the eastern edges of Deccan Plateau. Okay, the peninsular plateau it is, and to the western part of it, we can say that that particular part is Western Ghat, and to the eastern part of peninsular plateau, we can say that that part is Eastern Ghat. And now the second point here is they are continuous, can be crossed through the passes only, and causes orographic rain. About orographic rain, it is a kind of rain actually that when rain winds hits the mountain and gets uplifted. Look, I am going to show you actually what happens in orographic rain. Assume that it is a mountain. When any kind of rain hits this mountain, any kind of monsoon winds hits this mountain, then the warmth part of wind causes rainfall here. But when these winds get uplifted by the mountains and got at a certain height where the temperature of that wind got condensed or get reduced, so the precipitation, so the rainfall doesn't occur at the other side of the hill, and that is known as orographic rain. Okay, so this was the orographic rain. So basically the Western Ghat are continuous, they are continuously elevated, and plus they can be crossed only through the passes only. There are certain passes where you can cross the Western Ghats and it cause orographic rain. I have told you what is orographic rain. And if we talk about the Western Ghats, it is discontinuous because of it is discontinuous and irregular because it has been dissected by so many rivers, like there is Mahanadi, Godavari, and so many southern rivers that dissects peninsular plateau region, and the water is get drowned into the Bay of Bengal. So that is why, due to the erosion, due to the denudation, the eastern ghats are not that continuous, they are discontinuous and irregular in their shape. Now, if we talk about the if we see the Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat according to the elevation they have, so the Western Ghat is quite higher than Eastern Ghat because its average elevation that it has at 900 to 1600 meter. And we talk about the Eastern Ghat, then it is lower than the Western Ghat and its average elevation is 600 meters. And now the next part of the Western Ghat are that what are the highest peaks of this area. So Anamudi, that is the highest peak of Western Ghat, and there is one other which is not less than Anamudi called Doda Beta, and these are some prominent peaks in Western Ghat. If we talk about highest peaks in Eastern Ghat, then we will certainly know that it is Mahendragiri. Okay, now the next part of our video, that is Deccan Trap. We will got to know that what is Deccan Trap. Basically, it is a form of land where peninsular plateau has a black soil area. Okay, in the area of Maharashtra or Goa, there is some area is there that is totally having the black soil area. So that is why we even call this as Deccan Trap. The soil is black because of the volcanic origin, because this area has a volcanic origin. The rocks were made up of after the volcanic eruption, and when the time goes on, denudation happens, and denudation due to the denudation, due to the erosion caused by the water called as denudation, rock were converted into the soil, and that is why we actually these rocks have been denuded over the time and responsible for the formation of black soil, and that is how the black soil have been formed in this area. The best part of this area, that we could produce a good amount of cotton in this area, because black soil is best suited for the crop cotton. Okay. Okay. Now next part, we will now got to know about the Aravali Hills, that what are they. So basically when we talk about Aravali Hill, it lies on the western and northern western margins of peninsular plateau. We are talking about peninsular plateau, not the India. Okay. So when we saw the peninsular plateau, the northwestern or western part of it is considered as the Aravali Hills area. Okay, and these are highly eroded hills. This Aravali hills are one of the oldest hills in whole world, and that is how, when the time period has gone, and so many years, that this hill have see rainfalls, winds, and so many things it has see, that due to that reasons, it hills this hills got eroded. Okay, and are found as broken hills. You cannot found it as continuous hills like Himalaya, but it is a kind of broken hill. In some area it is still exist with some height, but normally it doesn't have that kind of height, because it got eroded with the time. Okay, it is continuous with start from Gujarat to the Delhi. It can be founded from the Gujarat to the Delhi, and that is the kind of area that Aravali Hill possesses. Okay, now second part, they are extended from Gujarat to Delhi in a southwest northeast direction. If I see you this direction, then it could be like uh, this direction. Okay, so this is the kind of direction Aravali Hills are having from Gujarat to Delhi. Okay, now next point here is about Indian desert. We all know that in our country we are having a kind of topography that we can say that it is a desert. And if we talk about this, the Indian desert lies towards the western margins of Aravali Hill. Okay, so we have seen that if it is the Aravali Hills, then its western part will be considered as Indian desert. Okay, now second part, uh, it is undulating sandy plains covered by sand dunes. Basically, what is undulating? It is like this. When you travel in the this area, there will be some sand dunes which have some kind of roller coaster ride, है ना? So you will have some kind of ride like this onto the sand dunes, and that is why we call this undulating sandy plain. Okay, now third point is here, that this region of India receives very low rainfall, below 150 millimeter per year, because the parallel ranges of Aravali. it creates the orographic rain. I have told you about this earlier, and that is why this area doesn't have that much amount of rainfall. Okay, now if we talk about climate, here the climate is arid, and here you cannot find any kind of vegetation, and you can't practice farming here because you won't be able to uh, irrigate your field properly. Plus, in desert, plus you are not going to get a climate which is favorable for the crops. Now if we talk about the river, only river is prominent river is here is known as Luni. So Luni is a river that exists in Indian desert. Okay, so now our last point, Burchan. What is Burchan? Burchan is a kind of shaped dunes due to crescent shaped dunes cover larger areas. Like if we talk about the sand dunes, है ना, जब when the wind blows, it it floats the sand with itself, and it creates like this, है ना, like this sand dune where the wind is flowing. It will bring some sediments to here and will draw deposit here, but at this side it will be almost like this. So we call this structure as Burchan. Okay, now our next topic, it will be coastal plain. Now we are going to understand the what are the coastal plain. I have told you about Western Ghats earlier. Now if we see, if assume that this is the southern part of India, and this was the Western Ghat and this was the Eastern Ghat, then this area where I am dotting, it will be considered as the coastal plains. Okay, the coastal area. Okay, now if we read this, the peninsular plateau is flanked by the stretch of narrow coastal strip running along the Arabian Sea on the west and Bay of Bengal on the east. Basically, what in this told that the peninsular plateau is flanked by stretched narrow of coastal strip, that we are having a coastal strip that is running along with the Arabian Sea, Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. Bay of Bengal is in the east and Arabian Sea is in the west. Okay. Now, second point, we have divided our coastal area. Sorry, we are having two coastal areas, that is western coast and eastern coast. Eastern coast is covering the Bay of Bengal region, and western coast is covering the Arabian Sea region. Now, we will divide these two coast into some parts, as like if we talk about the western coast, it has been divided into three parts. Okay, now, okay, okay, here, now the first, second and third. First part has been divided as Konkan. It is the northernmost part of what, western coast, and second part is divided as Kannad. Okay, and third part is divided as Malabar. So this is the kind of division we have made to our western coast. And when we talk about the eastern coast, we have divided into two parts. First one is northern Sirakar and second one is Coromandel. Okay, we have divided our eastern coast into two parts and western coast into three parts. Okay, now uh, I have told you that eastern coast has been divided into two parts, northern Sirakar and Coromandel. If we talk about the rivers that exist in this eastern coast, that are Mahanadi, Godavari, the Krishna, the Kaveri, and these rivers are forming delta onto the coast of eastern coast. Okay, so this is the major rivers that exist in the eastern part or eastern coast. Okay, and there is a lake that is called Chelika, and it is also an important feature to the eastern coast. Okay, and your homework will be, you have to find that where the Lake Chilika, in which state the Lake Chilika have been situated. Okay, now if we talk about islands, Our next topic is islands. Look, if you try to understand what are the islands, then you have to know that whenever you see an island, they are in some groups. Okay, there are small islands which have some group, and we call that group as archipelago. Okay, now there are two island archipelago in India. First one is Okay. First one is Lakshadweep and second one is Andaman. And when we talk about Lakshadweep, Lakshadweep is actually lying close to the Malabar coast, which we have seen into the western coast area. It connects. It is the part of Kerala state. Okay. Now it yani Lakshadweep has been composed of small coral islands, and it was named before 1970 as Laccadive, Minicoy, etc. And in 1973, we have changed its name, and the whole epilogue was named as Lakshadweep. And if we talk about the major island here, that is the administrative headquarters of the Lakshadweep, is known as Kavarati. Okay, everyone. Now, next part of islands are Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Now, in this part of our country, it is extended to north to south. It is like this, है ना? कुछ इस तरीके से ये अंडमान एंड निकोबार आइलैंड सिचुएटेड हैं. ओके, इट इज़ बिगर एंड scattered than Lakshadweep, and when we see, the entire island is divided into two broad categories. First one is Andaman, and which is in the north, and second one is Nicobar, which is in the south. Okay, now these islands are elevated of submarine mountains. It has been assumed that these are the area. This is a island which is the top of some submarine mountains. Okay, chaliye, means that there is some mountains. If we assume that this is the water level, okay, then this is the area of Andaman and Nicobar, and this top is known as Andaman Nicobar. Okay, so and when we talk about Andaman Nicobar, it is the submerged mountains top head, and it is known as Andaman and Nicobar. And if we think about this, then we got to know that it possesses a great diversity of flora and fauna, because it is a area which is situated near to equator, and we know that uh, equator is an area where the temperature is always high, and second part of it, that it has the good amount of rainfall, and due to the good amount of rainfall and temperature, it has a kind of forest area, a thick forest area into its region, and it lies closer to equator and experience equatorial climate, and that is why this area is having thick forest cover. Okay, now the chapter is almost over. This is the last point that we want to discuss here. We In this point we are going to discuss that what are the advantages of physiographic diversity that we are having. What are the advantage of mountains? What are the advantage of peninsular plateau or western coast and islands? What are the advantages of it? So when we think about mountains, it is the major source of water and forest wealth, because look, mountains are something who provides you river, है ना? There is Indus river, Ganga river, Brahmaputra, Yamuna, and so many other rivers that has been originated from the mountains. And when we talk about the forest, just think of it, the majority of forest now have been left on the mountains, because onto the plain area we have cutted that down for the cultivation purpose. So mountains are something which are major source of water and forest wealth. And when we talk about northern plains, it is the granaries of the country. It provides lots of people of the country grains, food grains, you know, and provided the base of early civilization. When we talk about Sindhu civilization, Indus Valley civilization, it was the base of northern plains that provided an area to our ancestor to settle in India. You know? After this, the plateau area. It is an area where you can find numerous minerals. You, when you have to think of coal, when you have to think of aluminium or steel or iron, you can find these things into the plateau area. And we are a country who are producing right now so many things, and we are having a industrialization. So for the industrialization purpose, we need these minerals, and that is being provided from the plateau area. The coastal regions and islands group provide sites for fishing and port activities. When you have to trade with other countries, when you have to uh, do fishing into the oceans, then you need coastal region, and then you need island groups. And these are the major advantages of physiographic diversity. Okay, so that is it for today, everyone. We will meet in our next video with some next topic. Till then, everyone, take care.